Jeremy here with Cross Grain Craftsman. Today you are going to learn how to use a ninja saw like a professional. Wah! In order to master the use of one of these bad boys, I'm going to show you a few tricks. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, right to it.
Before we get started, one important thing that you really need to know is about the teeth. Hopefully that shows in the shot. Here we go. Okay, these are the teeth of your saw. Why is that important? Well, have you ever used a saw, a hand saw, and been like, man, that saw sucks? But did you know that the different types of teeth actually affect the type of cut that you're going to get? Because that's super important about how effective the saw is in terms of how you use these teeth and what they're used for. These particular teeth right here are your rip cutting teeth. And these particular teeth right here are your cross cutting teeth. Well, what's the difference? Simple. The cross-cutting teeth, I should probably point on this side, huh? The cross-cutting teeth right here are made to slice through the grains of the wood, much like a knife. And these blades, the rip-cutting teeth, are made to slice through the grains of the wood. So here's the grain of the wood. It's going down this way. So a rip cut is going to be cutting down. Hopefully, there we go. It's going to be cutting this way. Okay. And these teeth, as you can see by that little angle there, what they'll do is they will cut the grains this way as you're pulling down, but almost like a gouge or like a a tractor. Those ones that dig. So it does that kind of motion, and it will just plow through the grains going this way. Whereas your cross cutting, they're slicing, they're like a bunch of little knives, and they're slicing through those grains. And they're kind of like this on the cross cutting. Whereas these ones are all perfectly straight in line with one another, and they're just like that. So anyways, that's this first important aspect of it. This particular Ryoba Japanese pole saw has rip cut side and a cross cut side. I love it. This is my favorite saw to use. You can get a Dozuki style Japanese pole saw, which is, make sure that's in the shot, like this. So it's got the stiff back on it. It's got cross-cutting teeth, okay? And this is mostly used for like dovetailing and stuff like that. I only use this for dovetailing. This saw is actually thinner than this saw in terms of how thick the metal is. Both of these saws are thinner than any traditional push saw that you're going to use, which is why these Japanese pole saws are great. Or at least one of the reasons why they're so great and so awesome. Anyways, so if you want to use for dovetailing, this Dozuki style is awesome. Today we are focusing on the Ryoba style. All right, we went over the thickness, we went over the teeth style, how they're used, why they're used that way, which is super important. That way your saw is not going to suck. To master a Japanese pole saw, there's a few tricks that I'm going to show you, not tricks, a few tips that I'm going to show you on how to actually master the use of the, get really, really good at it. And then the other aspect is you're going to have to practice. I know, that sucks, but it's absolutely true. You need to practice, 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 and by practicing, I mean use them. All right, let's get started. So, the very first tip that I'm going to show you that is going to help you become a master is how to hold the saw properly. Okay, so here's your saw. Make sure that shows right here. This is the handle, this is the blade. And we're gonna be cross-cutting, so we're gonna use the correct teeth going the correct way on the wood. And to hold the saw, you're gonna hold it down here at the bottom. And you're going to either point your thumb towards, or you're gonna point your index finger. Whichever is more comfortable for you. I interchangeably will do it both ways. Although I think the thumb is a little more comfortable. But however you point your thumb, now you're going to line that thumb with your elbow, with your shoulder, and you're going to loosely put your arm in that shoulder socket, just like that, okay? That's the first most important thing to using a Japanese pole saw. Now we all like to use it one-handed, so a lot of times I will start it with my fingers like this or my thumbs like this. You want to make sure, ooh, yeah, nice. You want to make sure that this is nice and loose in the socket, so that way you make a nice straight cut, okay? Second thing that you're going to want to really pay attention to is your pressure. A Japanese pole saw cuts on the pull stroke, not the push stroke. So you're going to, when you cut, so you start the line like so, all right? Cuts on the pull stroke. That does not mean that you press down on it. Do not white knuckle it, all right? Make sure that your hand pressure is even and solid, but not gripping it like you're going to crush it. Same thing when you're pulling down. You're going to apply a little bit of pressure, but you're not going to press down on it. If you press down on it, you're going to, just like that. You're going to fishtail all over the place, and it's going to drive you crazy. So do not do that. But you still want to have a reasonable amount of even pressure. And then when you are going back up on the upstroke, it should be no pressure at all. It should just be kind of lifting the saw. Now that is super hard to do. That's the hardest part to perfect about this, but the more you cut, the easier it becomes to do, and pretty soon you won't even think about it. You'll just be doing it in your sleep. So it kind of looks like this. Okay? Even though that's like way exaggerated, it doesn't really look like that. It just kind of looks like that on a microscopic level, right? Okay, so as you can see, that's how easy it is to cut through a piece of oak with the Japanese pole saw. Alright, so now we're going to talk about marking your wood, prepping your wood in a way that's going to be conducive to you not being frustrated, especially when you're first starting to use the saw. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scribe my little pencil line here, okay, like so. Now, your inclination is to just go ahead and start sawing on that. Well, when you are a beginner at using a Japanese pole saw, what you don't want to do is you do not want to just start cutting on a scribe pencil line. Trust me, it will be super frustrating. It'll be so hard. Don't make it hard on yourself. Make it easy on yourself. This is how you do it. Get yourself a knife, okay? Get yourself a square, okay? And your chisel. Now, if you haven't seen my first video on beginner tools, you should have knives. You should, well, you may not have a chisel, and to be honest, you don't necessarily have to have a chisel, but it'll be nice if you did. Square, you have to have them. Come on. So now what I'm going to do is just cut this. Now, when I cut this, the very first stroke, you're going to nice and light. Okay? Second stroke, a little bit more, a little bit more. And the reason why you do that is if you start white knuckling it and trying to cut this line, even with it against the square, what's going to happen is you're going to be all just like that. Don't do that. Save yourself, just nice and easy. Cut through those first few grains, first few grains, fibers of the wood, and then just keep going until you have yourself a nice little channel in here. And then your last one, you can go and you can white knuckle it, and it'll just go just like that. Okay? So as a beginner, I highly recommend that what you do is you go all the way around, okay? Go all 4 sides. Do that for the first several times, okay? Trust me on this. That will make your life way, way better, okay? Once you get used to using these Japanese pull saws and you become closer to professional, you won't have to do that, right? Okay. So you're gonna have 2 different ways to create a channel in this wood for your saw to be able to follow along in the groove with, okay? The first one is the no chisel method, which is we're gonna take the knife, we're gonna score it, again, nice and light, and then just keep getting heavier and heavier, okay? And now I can just go. So now I've got a super deep line in there. What you can do is you can take your knife, okay, and then just kind of go like this sort of thing. And you can see it just kind of creates just a little bit of a angle on there. And your saw will ride right in that channel as it cuts. Nice and straight and easy. Second method is to use the chisel, which is similar, only maybe a little bit easier. And for that, you're just going to hold the chisel up. Actually, let me see if I can zoom in on this. Kind of like this. Okay, just like that. So now my saw will ride quite easily down that channel. That easy. That was real time, by the way, on cutting through a nice solid piece of oak. What that does is that just saw blade's just gonna ride right through. If you do that all the way around, I'm telling you right now, your first several cuts, if you do it like this, and I did it for probably several months to become a lot more, to work on your pressure, because now I can work on good form, okay? Hold your saw properly. Yeah, nice bumpy ride there, huh? Hold your saw properly, okay? Have good form, practice good pressure, good even strokes, and I'm telling you, that way you're not worrying about the line because the saw is just gonna ride through it. Once you've done that, once you've perfected the form and the pressure, then when you go through and mark your lines, and I still do, I'll usually mark 2 sides and just cut the fiber, 2 lines like this, and that's it, done. Then I'll just go and start sawing, and it'll be perfect almost every time. Almost every time. Because, you know, we're humans, we make mistakes, errors, you know, tired, whatever. The other way that you can use a Japanese pull saw, this is how the Japanese hold it. Okay, this is pretty awesome. So you're gonna be voot, 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 thumbs straight up like this, okay? Okay, that's how they do it. And I gotta be honest, it's a great way to do it. It really is. It's an awesome way to do it. But being that I've always cut with one hand, sometimes it gets a little awkward. But when I really want a nice, good, clean cut, I gotta say that I will use this method a lot. And really, even as you're first getting started, that's a great way to practice, again, your pressure and good form And when you pull it towards you like that, I mean, you're not going to be wandering it around. It's worth mentioning that the Japanese pull saw, because it's got these thin blades like this, that on the pull stroke, it in theory will take and pulls the blade back to straight again, okay, as you're pulling it through. And that's why they can cut so straight with such a thin piece of metal, giving you a thin kerf, which is the width of your cut. It's a good thing to know. Okay, so again, just in summary, the first thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you know what teeth you're using, which way the grain of the wood is running. Make sure to mark. Let me just set this down so I don't hurt myself. So you can mark and score the line to get it started. Make sure you are using proper form. Make sure you use proper pressure. And practice. Just practice, practice, practice. And you will become so good at this, you'll be like, dude, I can do this in my sleep. Doesn't take very long. And it's super fun. It's quite amazing. So anyways, hope you really like this video. Please share it. Please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. And I will catch up with you guys later.